Hi there. I'm Sarah. My sister cut me out of Thanksgiving just to impress her boyfriend's family. Not only was I left out, but I paid for the dinner I wasn't invited to. That wasn't the first betrayal, just the loudest one. For years I covered her rent, her tuition, even her designer shoes, while she told the world she was self-made. But when I finally stopped paying, she didn't break the silence. She made a spectacle. Why did my own mother take her side? And how far would they go to shame me into silence? Would you keep helping a family that erases you? I had just finished a job in Norwood, routine furnace maintenance for a retired couple. It was late November, the air thick with the smell of wet leaves and early frost. I was tired, but it was the good kind of tired. The kind that comes after a full day of work where everything ran smoothly, no last-minute part runs, no irate clients, just clean, honest labor. I swung by a specialty wine store on the way home, picked up a bottle of Merlot, the kind my mother always liked for the holidays. It was tradition. Same every year. The traffic wasn't bad. I was already imagining the dinner table, overloaded with Ruth's turkey, cranberry sauce in that ridiculous glass bowl, and Charlene's high-pitched laugh. It had been like this since Dad passed. Same house, same smells, same obligation to show up, no matter how complicated things felt. As I pulled up to a red light, I checked my voicemail. One new message. It was from Mom. Her voice was shaky, cautious. "Sweetheart, listen, Charlene's hosting this year. Her boyfriend's parents are coming and I just think maybe it's best if you skip Thanksgiving this time." I sat frozen. The light turned green. My foot stayed on the brake. She didn't even pretend to sugarcoat it, just cut and served like cold pie. I called her right back. "You're serious?" I asked. "It's not personal," she insisted. "Charlene just wants everything to look a certain way. Dorian's family are, well, they're very refined people." I clenched the wheel. "Because I fix furnaces for a living? Because my name doesn't come with letters after it?" Ruth sighed. "Please don't make this dramatic, Sarah. It's just, we don't want to make things uncomfortable." "We?" I asked. "Or Charlene?" "You know how she is. Image matters to her. She just doesn't want questions, that's all." Questions. Like how her Ivy League degree got paid, or who kept the lights on in her Brooklyn apartment those 4 years. I didn't argue. Not really. There was no point. That tone in her voice, soft but immovable, meant the decision had already been made long before the call. I drove home in silence. Didn't turn on the radio. Didn't touch the wine bottle beside me. When I got to my apartment, I set it on the counter, unopened. That year, the only thing I brought to Thanksgiving was my absence. Later that night, scrolling through my phone, I landed on Charlene's Instagram. She stood center frame, wearing a red cocktail dress, holding Dorian's hand. The dining room behind her was lit with candles, perfect and staged. Caption: "Grateful for those who matter most." No tag, no mention, not even a seat left open. I stared at it long enough for my phone to go dim. The next morning, I woke up earlier than usual, more out of habit than sleep. The apartment was quiet, untouched. I made coffee, sat by the window, and tried to move on. But some silences feel too loud to ignore. 2 days after Thanksgiving, the silence broke. Not from Charlene, not from Ruth, but from Lorraine. Around 7 p.m., just after I'd finished checking invoices for the week, a text popped up. "Lorraine, you need to see this, in person." I drove to her place, no questions asked. Lorraine was never dramatic. She didn't send cryptic texts unless it mattered. When I walked into her apartment, she didn't say hello. She just handed me her phone. Screenshots. 4 of them. The first was a conversation between Charlene and Dorian. She'd told him she was paying her own way through school, claimed she was managing a startup, called herself self-made. Another message. "If my sister comes around, it just complicates things. She's different. Dorian doesn't get that kind of world." I blinked, read it again. Charlene didn't just erase me, she rewrote me. I was no longer the sister who gave up vacations and dental work so she could graduate debt-free. I was now a problem to be edited out of her curated life. "She's been lying to him for over a year," Lorraine muttered. "I thought you should know before this blows up." I sat down hard on the couch. Images flashed, the MacBook I mailed her for her freshman year, wrapped in bubble wrap and a handwritten card. The night I drove 2 hours in a snowstorm to wire her rent. And now, I was the shame she hid. I guess she didn't think I'd ever find out, I said. Lorraine didn't answer. She didn't have to. Later that night, back at my apartment, I logged into my bank account. Auto transfer history, next scheduled, December 1st, $1,500. I hovered for a second, then hit cancel. A pop-up asked, "Are you sure?" Yes, I was. I even added a private memo in the transaction notes. She wants independence? Let her live it. It wasn't rage that moved my hand. It wasn't even revenge. It was the clarity of a final line being drawn, quiet, irreversible. I closed the laptop, leaned back, and breathed. There was no guilt, just the first taste of boundary. If I'm the shame in her story, then let me be the missing page she has to explain. I didn't sleep much that night. Not from regret, just a strange stillness, like walking out of a house and locking the door for the last time. The decision was final, but clean. No phone calls, no texts, not even a note. I didn't owe anyone a press release. The next morning, I brewed coffee and sat with my ledger, flipping through months of transfers labeled Charlene Rent Utilities. 5 years of them. What started as a 6-month helping hand had become a silent contract. And I had never once missed a payment, even when it meant saying no to myself. I remember the first transfer. She had just lost her part-time job at that tiny legal clinic and was 3 weeks behind on rent. I offered to help for a little while. "Just until things even out," she said. That was December 2018. She moved into a nicer apartment 2 months later. Somehow, temporary help turned into designer handbags and wine tastings with Law Society friends she hadn't earned a place among. I never questioned it, not out loud. I took on more service calls, picked up weekend work, told myself it was what big sisters did. Even when I skipped a trip to Colorado with friends or canceled a dental appointment for the 3rd time, I chalked it up to responsibility. But the gratitude never came, just expectation. That evening, I opened Instagram out of habit, and there she was, Charlene. Red dress, hair blown out like she just stepped off a magazine shoot. Dorian stood beside her, oblivious. Location tagged. Private rooftop mixer, City Law Society. The caption? Grind now, glow later. Glow? She wasn't grinding. She was accessorizing lies I paid for. That dress alone could have covered 2 weeks of groceries, and she had the audacity to stand there and pretend she was building this life with her own hands. I put my phone down and cleared the last recurring reminders from my banking app. No more payment dates, no more emergency backups. It was all gone. Then I opened my journal. I didn't write a full page, just one sentence. She wanted the freedom to stand alone. This is it. I closed the cover and exhaled. The silence wouldn't last long. Guilt doesn't take holidays. A few days passed. Cincinnati stayed gray and quiet, the kind of cold that clung to your bones even indoors. I focused on work, trying to keep my mind forward, but by Thursday night, the silence broke. Again. This time it came wrapped in trembling guilt. Mom called right after dinner. Her voice was low and hushed like someone had just died. "She hasn't left her bed, Sarah. She's not eating. I think she's not okay." I leaned against the kitchen counter. "Has she seen a doctor?" A long pause, then a vague deflection. "She says she just needs time, but if something happens, how will we live with ourselves?" We. The same we that pushed me out of Thanksgiving. The same we that praised Charlene's polished image while quietly cashing my checks. Now suddenly, we had a crisis on our hands. "Mom, depression is real, but if she needs help, there are professionals for that," I said calmly. "Not a sibling's checking account." She sighed, tired and wounded. "You're not even going to ask if she's okay?" "She's 32. She has a phone. If she wants to talk, she can call me herself." I ended the call before she could add another layer of shame. 15 minutes later, I got a text from Beth. "Beth. Hey, is everything okay? Your mom just called me. Said you've cut Charlene off, that she's spiraling." Beth and I hadn't talked much lately. Life had gotten busy, but she was still the kind of friend who believed in giving people the benefit of the doubt, especially mothers. So now Mom had gone behind my back, tried to rally back up. pitched the same sob story to anyone within reach. I didn't reply right away. I just stared at the message and thought, she's not asking how I am. She's asking if what Mom said is true. And that said everything. Later that night, I found myself thinking back to a snowy evening during Charlene's sophomore year. I had a service job on campus and decided to drop off her textbook in person. I showed up, still in my HVAC uniform, coat dirty, fingers red from the cold. She pulled me into a side hallway. "Can you change before anyone sees? Everyone here's in law. It looks weird." Back then, I told myself she was just young, embarrassed. She'd grow out of it. She didn't. I called Mom back the next day. She picked up fast. "If Charlene's unwell, I truly hope she gets the help she needs," I said evenly. "But I'm not the help she needs. Not anymore." Mom was silent. "Pain is real," I added, "but manipulation wears a costume." And this one was starting to unravel. The next cry for help wouldn't come with tears. It would come with followers. By the weekend, it wasn't just phone calls anymore. The drama had gone digital. I opened my Instagram to a tag I hadn't expected. Charlene had posted a black and white selfie, eyes glassy, hair tousled just enough to look tragic. The caption read, "It hurts when your own blood leaves you cold, but maybe I was never enough for them anyway." 1,000 likes in 4 hours. Comments flooded in. "No one deserves that." "Family's supposed to lift you up, not break you down. You're so strong. Keep going." Strong? She wasn't battling cancer. She was spinning a tale for attention and dragging me through the mud in the process. I didn't react publicly. I didn't comment or like or share. I just stared at the way she weaponized half-truths to build herself a stage. She wasn't looking for healing. She wanted applause. The next morning, Ruth called. "I hope you're proud," she spat before I could even say hello. "You humiliated her in front of everyone." I blinked. "I did what now?" "She's hurting, Sarah, and you're just sitting there letting the world think she's disposable." I took a breath. "I'm not doing anything. That's the point. I owe her nothing, and I refuse to keep paying for lies wrapped in silk dresses. Don't act like money's the only thing that matters." "No," I said flatly, "but respect does, and I haven't seen any from either of you in a long time." She didn't hang up. She just went quiet, and that kind of silence always said more than shouting ever could. Later that night, I started getting private messages. Former coworkers, acquaintances, even a few HVAC clients from way back. "Saw your sister's post. Are you okay?" "She said you cut her off completely. What's going on?" I didn't respond. Not because I didn't have the words, but because I refused to waste them. Instead, I posted one thing to my story, white text on a black background. "Silence isn't guilt. Some of us just don't explain abuse to strangers." The response? Split down the middle. Some clapped, some questioned, but I didn't care. That night, I sent Ruth a text. "If this continues, I will publicly list every dollar I paid, every bill I covered, and every excuse I've ignored. Try me." A warning is still a kindness, but I was running out of kind. I expected silence, but Charlene didn't do silence. She did spectacle. 2 days before Christmas, I was mid-sentence during a meeting with my lead techs when the lobby door slammed hard enough to make the floor shake. Heads turned. My heart already knew. Charlene. She stormed in like a hurricane, mascara streaked, hair wild, wrapped in a coat she clearly hadn't bothered to button. The front desk froze. Every conversation in the open office stopped mid-word. "There you are," she hissed, voice already cracking. "You think you're so above it now?" I stood from my seat slowly. "This is a place of business. You need to leave." But Charlene wasn't here for logic. "You cut me off like trash," she yelled, eyes darting across the silent room. "I made you who you are!" Gasps echoed. My HVAC supervisor visibly flinched. A junior tech whispered behind his clipboard. I didn't respond right away. I just walked toward her, calm and direct. "You're not welcome here, Charlene. Security will walk you out." She took a step back. "I'm your sister." "No," I said, my voice cool and sharp. "You're the sister of the woman who built this company. That doesn't give you permission to tear it down." The receptionist had already pressed the call button. 2 security guards from the building's main lobby entered, firm but polite. Charlene tried one last time. "You can't just erase me." I didn't blink. "You did that to yourself." They escorted her out without struggle, though her screams echoed all the way to the elevators. When the glass door shut again, the room held a tight breath. I turned to my team. "You all know who I am. That hasn't changed." They nodded. Slowly, work resumed. But later, in my office, I saw the fallout. Messages buzzing in the team group chat. Did that really just happen? Family drama? Wow. Boss didn't even blink. I stared at the screen for a minute, then closed it. In one scream, she proved exactly why I had to go silent. What do you do when they can't hurt your money? They aim for your name. It didn't take long. The morning after Christmas, my phone buzzed while I was pouring coffee. Ruth's name lit up the screen. I let it ring twice before answering. She didn't waste time. "I've been thinking. Maybe it's time we sell the house." I blinked. "What house?" "The one on Linden Avenue, your grandparents' place. It's been sitting there, you know. Just taxes and repairs. If we sell it, the money could really help Charlene, get her back on her feet." I leaned against the counter. "So now we're monetizing memories?" She hesitated. "You both grew up there, you both benefited. It's only fair." There it was, the word, fair. As if decades of sacrifice boiled down to square footage and inheritance logistics. It wasn't about helping. This was pressure dressed as peace. I didn't argue. I ended the call politely, then opened a blank document, titled it, Charlene Contributions Rendered. I started listing. Rent paid, tuition covered, credit card bailouts, medical bills, every dollar, every month. It looked more like a lawsuit than a family history. I didn't send it. Not yet. That evening, Charlene posted again. A photo from when we were maybe 8 and 10, arms looped around each other in front of that very house. Her caption? "Some homes are only warm because someone used to care." It spread like spilled wine on white carpet. Sympathy rolled in. Families are supposed to protect each other. You deserve better, girl. Blood doesn't make someone family. I didn't reply, just stared at it, then looked back at my unsent document. They didn't want the house. They wanted my silence, my consent, wrapped in guilt and signed with sacrifice. I grabbed my phone and texted Ruth. "If you push this, I'll contest every cent. Try me." They wanted me silent, obedient, ashamed. What they got was receipts. It came through Lorraine, of course it did. I was sipping tea by the window when her name popped up on my screen. "You might want to sit down," she said. "Why?" "Dorian dumped Charlene." I didn't move, just waited. He found out, about everything, her tuition, the apartment, you. Apparently his mom did a little digging and connected dots Charlene thought were invisible. I closed my eyes. He said he was speechless, embarrassed, and done. The silence that followed wasn't heavy. It was honest. Later that afternoon, I opened my inbox. A new message, subject line, "Please read this." It was from Charlene. She began with the word sorry, then spent 3 paragraphs blaming fear, societal pressure, the need to keep up. She said people wouldn't respect her if they knew how much help she'd had. She ended with, "You can't let me drown, please." No mention of gratitude, no ownership, just another plea, framed as forgiveness. I didn't respond. The next day, my cousin Madison texted me. She didn't get the firm job. They asked for experience she couldn't fake. Her resume's paper thin. So there it was. Reality finally cashing in. No more borrowed shine. No more illusions curated for brunch tables and LinkedIn feeds. That evening, I made chamomile and opened Charlene's email again. Reread every word, then hit delete. I pulled a notebook from the drawer, wrote one sentence, slow and clear. Survival is not selfish. Distance is not cruelty. Silence is peace. And I meant it. This wasn't revenge. It was reclamation. January light always felt cold, but that day, it didn't reach me at all. I sat on the edge of my bed, mug of coffee in hand, reading Ruth's text. "Come home. Everyone misses you. Let's make this right." There was no apology, no admission, just a polite plea wrapped in the same old fabric. Expectation. I didn't respond. I didn't even save the message. I deleted it, then turned off my phone and sat in the quiet. Later that week, I walked into my office. The space looked nothing like it had a year ago. Sleek panels, organized stations, new apprentices getting certified. A banner hung over the reception. Keynote speaker, Sarah Callahan, Women in HVAC 2025. It didn't feel like vindication. It felt like alignment. My effort finally standing without disguise. I checked the schedule, booked solid for 6 months. Midday, I opened Instagram. There it was. Another message from Charlene. This one came with a carousel of old photos. Birthday cakes, dress-up costumes. The two of us at 7 and 9, grinning with missing teeth. The final image was just text. Please don't forget who I used to be. I blocked the account. That evening, Lorraine stopped by after work. She dropped off a book and stood awkwardly at the door before saying, "Aunt Joan called me a traitor for taking your side." I raised a brow. "And?" she smiled. I told her I wasn't picking sides. I was picking truth. That night I made tea and curled up by the window. The snow fell soft and quiet. My phone stayed off. I didn't feel triumphant. I felt whole. Some people think forgiveness means reunion, but it doesn't. Some doors stay closed because that's where the healing lives. Not all seats need to be refilled. Some just need to be remembered and left empty. Before I go, let me leave you with this. Sometimes walking away doesn't make you cold. It makes you sane. Setting boundaries with the people you love is never easy, but it's necessary when love is being weaponized. I learned the hard way that protecting your peace might cost you people, but never your dignity, and that's a price worth paying. If you've ever been made to feel like the villain for standing up for yourself, just know you're not alone. Silence isn't weakness, it's wisdom dressed in restraint. And sometimes, the strongest thing you can do is nothing at all. Now I'd love to hear from you. Have you ever had to walk away from family to protect your mental health? Or been guilt-tripped into staying silent for the sake of keeping the peace? If this story hit home, drop a 1 inch in the comments, or tell me what state you're watching from. Didn't vibe with it? Let me know why. I read everything and I'm here to grow too. And if you're watching this late at night with a warm drink and too many thoughts, hey, you're in good company. Before you scroll on, hit subscribe so you don't miss the next real-life story that might just mirror your own.